My name is Lin Hao, a waste miner who is worse than dogs, is trapped in this broken star field around the world, and I feel free to breathe. This is the garbage dump of the Silver River Empire, a place where the fire cannot be burned, but it is the basin of the unlucky guys who were exiled. Every day when I dig mine, get beaten, the worker roars, and I have to lower my head like a dog, otherwise a whip is indispensable. Lin Hao, move quickly. If you are rubbing your waist, I will throw you into the mine to feed you. The stinky face of the team leader Luo came over again, and the spits of spitting on me filled my face. His voice sounded like a broken one, and he wanted to punch him. But I don't dare. If I dare to resell, his laser whip will whip me in 2.5 in the next second. I understand, Captain Rock. I gritted my teeth, lowered my head and said, and the mine in my hand slammed into the stone, and my heart was filled with tears, one day, I will make you kneel down and call me. The miners next to me sneaked at me, their eyes full of ridicule and indifference. This helper has long been numb. If anyone is beaten, they will not take a look at him, for fear of causing trouble. I have been accustomed to it for a long time. I have no friends here, so I can only live this thought. The weather today is particularly bad, and the cosmic storm above the star field has begun to rush again. The sky far away seems to have been torn open, and the black and purple flashes are scattered, as if they will swallow the entire mine at any time. I feel a little nervous. Once this storm comes, the mines will have to be stopped, otherwise anyone who is rolled in will turn into slag. But that bastard Rock doesn't believe in evil and insists on forcing us to work overtime. What are you looking at? The storm hasn't arrived yet. If you steal it, I will kick you into the storm's eyes. Luo stood on the platform, holding a laser whip in his hand, roaring with a mighty look. I lowered my head and continued to dig the mines, and the mines in my hands were almost smoothed out. I was just thinking, it would be great if I could run away while I was in trouble. Even if I died in a storm, it would be better than suffering here. Unfortunately, the mines are surrounded by unmanned sentries from the Empire, and they run out to seek death. At this moment, a huge sound suddenly sounded like a huge starry sky was torn apart. I looked up and saw the black and purple storm eyes from far away suddenly widened, as if they had opened their bloody mouth and rushed towards the mine. There is no doubt that you can see the strange light flashes in the storm, as if something is squirming inside. Run! Run! A miner screamed and threw down his tools and ran away, but the storm was so fast that it swallowed most of the mine in the blink of an eye. Before I could react, my body was pulled up by a huge force, and the whole portrait of the leaf was rolled into the storm. It's over. There was only one thought in my brain, my eyes were pitch black, and my body was torn by the wind, as if it would fall apart at any time. I don't know how long it took, but I suddenly felt my body lightening, as if I had fallen into something soft. I opened my eyes tightly and realized that I was not dead, lying in a strange space. There is no sky or ground here, and there is floating light all around it, like a sea of stars, and there is a sense of indescribable pressure. My heart was beating wildly, and I felt like I was being targeted by something. Who is there? I tried to sniff and shouted, and the sound was replies in this space, but no one responded. Suddenly, a low voice exploded in my brain, as if it was directly diamonding into my mind. Humans, why did you enter my territory? I almost jumped up and looked around, but I didn't see anything. The voice continued, I am the will of high space. You are just a trivial fog. How dare you set foot here? High with space? What's the thing? I was confused and felt a little bad in my heart. This place is not a good place at first glance, so I might really have to explain it here. The voice snorted coldly, Insight people, your world is just a low-level prison, and I control the source of the storm. Since you are here, don't leave and be my container. Container? Go dream. Although I don't know any high video and low video, it is probably not a good thing to listen to this guy's language. I bit my teeth and looked for a way around and wanted to run away, but there was no exit at all. The light around suddenly accelerated and seemed to encircle me. An invisible pressure came to me, and I felt like my brain was about to explode, and my mind began to blur. Just when I thought I was going to be finished, a light suddenly flashed in my brain, and an inexplicable force burst out from my body, directly sending the pressure back. What? The voice was stunned and then roared angrily, "Can you resist my will?" "Impossible." I gasped, not knowing where the courage came from, and shouted back, "Stop talking. I'm not a soft persimmon that I can pinch at will." The voice was silent for a moment, and then he sneered, "It's interesting. Since that's the case, I'll give you a chance. Accept my power and become the embodiment of storm, otherwise you will stay in this empty space forever." I felt a sudden change in my heart. Although I didn't believe that this guy would have any kindness, but if I don't answer the situation at the moment, it would be a dead end. I gritted my teeth and said, "Okay, give me strength. But I am not your puppet." Ignorant people, let's see how far you can do." The sound of that sound came, and then a terrifying energy directly poured into my body. I felt like my whole body was struck by lightning, and every bone was shaking. But at the same time, I can clearly feel that an unprecedented force flows in my body. I raised my hand and the light in front of me actually scattered with my movements, as if I had heard my pointing completely. I was shocked. This power is too strong, right? This is the source of storm, and now you are its master. But remember, this power will swallow your will. If you can't control it, it will eventually be destroyed by it. After the voice was said, it disappeared. I didn't have time to digest all this. My body suddenly trembled violently, and then my eyes turned black and I was rolled into a mess again. When I opened my eyes again, I realized that I had returned to the edge of the mine. The storm had subsided, the mine was in a mess, and there were dead everywhere. "Lin Hao? Are you still alive?" A familiar voice came, and I turned my head and saw that it was Ellie. She was wearing torn mine uniforms and covered in dust on her face, looking at me in disbelief. Ally is a few people who don't bother me on the mine. She has a hot personality and has never helped me with it. Wow, I'm so lucky. I grinned and wanted to stand up. A sudden sting in my brain. The storm was about to move inside my body, as if it was about to explode at any time. "Be careful," Ellie suddenly shouted. I turned around and saw that Rock actually walked towards me with a team of people, holding a laser gun in his hand. "Lin Hao, I didn't expect that you would still be alive as a waste. Even the storm can't kill you, your life is so strong." Luoka sneered, his eyes full of murder, "But, you are not that good today. Brothers, wipe him out." Several mine guards lifted a laser gun, and the gun pointed directly at my brain. My heart was nervous, but then, the storm suddenly boiled in my body. I subconsciously raised my hand and sniffed it, and a small whirlwind suddenly appeared in the air, blowing the few guarding guns directly. "What?" Luoka's face changed instantly, looking at me as if he had seen a ghost. I grinned, feeling so happy in my heart. It turns out that this power can really be used. I waved my hand again, and the whirlwind turned into a violent wind blade, slashing towards Luoka hard. He had no chance to react, and was directly hit by the wind blade. The entire person flew out more than 10 meters and smashed it to the ground without knowing his life and death. "Who dares to move me?" I looked around coldly, and the guards retreated in surprise, and none of them dared to move forward. Ellie was stunned by the sight, and after a long time, she said, "Lin Hao, why are you suddenly become so fierce? Let's say, leave this ghost place first." The restless force in my lower body pulled Ellie and ran out of the mine. Although Roke was overthrown by me, the Empire's pursuers would definitely not let me go. I won't run away now. When most of their teams arrive, I will not die even if I have 10 lives. We ran all the way and finally found an old mine flying boat. Ellie jumped onto the driving seat, started the engine quickly with her feet, and she still complained in her mouth, "It is a miracle that this broken boat can fly. Don't expect me to get rid of the Empire's pursuit. Stop talking, fly out first." I gritted my teeth and calculated in my heart. Although that power was awesome, after using it, my whole body seemed to have been hollowed out and my head was damned. It seems that the high-vibration creature said it was right. This power cannot be used at will, and maybe it will really kill me. The flying boat barely pulled out of the mine's defense network, but before we could relax, a harsh warning suddenly came from behind. I looked through the porthole and saw several Imperial light chasers approaching us, and the fire from the laser cannon had begun to flash. Lin Hao, what should I do? We can't stand the shot in this broken ship. Ellie was sweating profusely, and the direction plate in her hand was almost broken by her. I bit my teeth tightly, and a crazy thought suddenly flashed through my brain. I might be able to use that storm again. I closed my eyes, tried to wake up the energy in my body, and silently said in my heart, if I can survive this time, I must let the noble men of the Empire know what regret is. The flying boat swayed in the starry sky, swaying left and right like drunkenness, and may fall apart at any time. The Imperial pursuit of the rear was getting closer and closer, and the fire of the laser cannon locked us like the eyes of the god of death. I sat on the secondary driver's seat, my brain was covered in cold sweat, and my heartbeat was as fast as a drum. Lin Hao, if our broken ship does not accelerate, it will be destroyed into scum in the next second. Ellie roared with gritted teeth. Her hands were shaking, but she still held the direction plate tightly, trying to find a way out in this star field full of stones. I gritted my teeth and looked back through the porthole. On the bodies of the several chasing ships, the Imperial bloodhorn marks flashed with cold light in the darkness, as if they were going to tear us apart at any time. My heart sank. This helper is not a small character like Rock. The Imperial Army's pursuit and attacking ship was extremely powerful, and we could beat our broken ship into a siege with just one shot. Ally, fly to the storm area on the left. I suddenly pointed to a black and purple romance outside the porthole, and there was a bit of crazy sound in the sound. Are you crazy? That's a cosmic storm. Going in is looking for death. Ellie stared at me with wide eyes, as if she was seeing a neurotic disease. Believe me once. The Empire's pursuit is not afraid to enter the storm area. We have a way out if we go in. I stared at the storm, and my heart was just catching. Since that high power comes from the storm, I might be able to wake it up again in the storm. Although using this force once makes me want to vomit, now if I don't try it, we really have to explain it here. Ellie gritted her teeth, shook the direction plate hard, and the flying boat suddenly turned to the left, rushing straight into the black and purple storm area. In an instant, the entire fleet was surrounded by violent romance, and the ship emitted a squeaking warning bird, as if it was to be torn to pieces at any time. The light outside the porthole was shaking, and the purple flash was whipping on the hull like a whip, which surprised me every time. Lin Hao, you'd better have a good idea, otherwise we'll be done. Ellie's voice was trembling, but she still forced herself to control the flying boat to avoid the most dangerous flash currents. I didn't reply, closed my eyes and tried to feel the restless power in my body. There seemed to be a group of black vortexes swirling in the brain, hiding the low words of the high-vibration creature, humans, you are back in my territory. Want strength? Then pay for the price. Stop talking. I don't have time to tell you the price and give me strength, otherwise we'll finish playing together. I shouted in my heart, and at the same time tried to sink my mind into the whirlpool. In an instant, a cold energy penetrated my body like a flood, and my muscles were tightened, as if they were hit by an electric shock, which made me almost scream. But at the same time, I felt the storm around suddenly become speaking. The chaotic flashes and wild winds seemed to be led by invisible hands, and began to circle around our flying boats, forming a protective circle. I opened my eyes quietly and raised my hand to snatch it. The storm's power directly turned into a huge wind blade and slashed hard towards the back. Room. A chaser from afar could not dodge and was directly hit by the wind blade. The body instantly exploded with a group of fire, and the debris scattered in the starry sky. As I watched this scene, I felt so happy that I couldn't help but smile. Imperial's tyrant, dare to chase me? This is the next scene. Ellie glanced from the rear camera and her eyes turned straight. Lin Hao, what did you just fuck? I exploded the chase in one move? Don't ask, save your life first. I gritted my teeth and forced myself to pass by. Although this power is awesome, it is really not something that humans can use. Now I feel like I am smashing my snatch in my brain, and my vision is beginning to blur. The several chasers from behind were obviously shocked by my move, and their speed slowed down and they did not dare to directly penetrate the storm area. But they did not give up, and the communication lights on the body began to flash, and then a cold voice spread through the broadcast into our flying boat. Lin Hao, waste miner, I didn't expect you to have some skills. I am Lieutenant Colonel Ren, the commander of the 3rd Fleet of the Empire. I came to take your life on the order of Carlos's army. Do you think you can live by hiding into a storm? Naive. Leave your secrets, or I will crush you into powder with my hands. Will Carlos be the enemy? I felt a little nervous. I was not unfamiliar with this name. Carlos is the highest ruler of the Nether Star Field in the Empire. He is a cruel and ruthless master in the news. He has slaughtered several planets of resistance, and his hands are covered with blood. He would notice that my little character was probably because of the silence I just made on the mine. Lieutenant Colonel Ren, right? If you have the ability, come in and catch me. What's the ability to hide outside and make a ruthless voice? I'm waiting for you in the storm area. Come and kill one. I pressed the communication button directly and gritted my teeth and returned. After saying this, I was actually a little bit stupid. After all, I couldn't control this power well. I used a lot of tricks again and again, and I guess I had to kill myself first. Stubborn guy, wait and see. Ren's voice was as cold as ice, and the communication was interrupted. The chase behind began to slam outside the storm area, as if looking for opportunities to come in. Lin Hao, are you too worried just now? As soon as they are really in, what should we do? Ellie controlled the flying boat and couldn't help but complain. What are you trying to get? They dare not come in. The storm area has hurt their ships even more. They are just looking for death. I was so angry that I was just thinking about the next step in my heart. Although the storm area is safe at a while, our broken ship is not much fuel, and it is not a good idea to spend a long time. At this moment, the flying ship's radar suddenly emitted a harsh alarm, and the screen showed an unusual energy wave in front of it. Ellie sniffed her eyebrows and looked at the data. Her voice changed. Lin Hao, this seems not to be a natural storm, there is something inside. Is there something? I looked over and saw that the energy wave curve displayed on the screen was very different, like a trace of a biological activity. My heart thumped, and the sound of the high-vibration creature suddenly appeared in my brain. Humans, get close to it, you will find the real secret. Secret? What a ghost thing. I muttered in a low voice, unable to ignore this inexplicable attraction. I just told me that this unusual energy may have something to do with my power, and it may even be a thread left by high-vibration creatures. Ally, fly towards that energy wave. I made a decision. Are you sure? That place is not a good thing at first glance. If you encounter any weird things again and again, we will run away without any chance. Ellie was full of regret, but she looked at me with a determined look. She could only grit her teeth and swing the direction plate, and the flying boat could not move towards the center of the energy fluctuation. As we got closer and closer, the storm around suddenly became even more violent, and the purple flashes intertwined like a network, almost covering the entire flight. My heart became tight and the power in my body began to get restless again, as if it was being attracted by something. I reluctantly calmed down and raised my hand to try to control the storm, but this time the power reaction was stronger than before. I sprayed blood directly on the console. Lin Hao, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. When Ellie saw my condition, her face turned white. It's okay. I can handle it. I wiped my mouth and said with a strong grip. But I knew in my heart that this power was backfiring me. That just now the attack of chasing the rush was already my limit. If I force myself to use it, I guess I will really kill myself. At this moment, the flying boat trembled suddenly, as if it had hit something. A huge light group suddenly appeared outside the porthole, like the core of a certain energy field. You can see a twisted shadow inside, like a group of creeping darkness. My eyes widened and my heart was beating wildly. This thing is a bit like the thing I saw in the high-dimensional space. Human, you're here. A low voice echoed in my brain, carrying a creepy sense of pressure. If you want real power, enter my core, but I warn you that if you fail, you will be calm forever. Chin-chin? I'm very hardworking, afraid of who? I gritted my teeth, my brain full of the verbal words that Lieutenant Colonel Ren had just been. The Empire's dog-legged wants to kill me? Then I will become stronger first, so strong that I can smash their battleship into iron scum with one punch. Ally, get close to the light group, I want to go in and take a look. I turned to her, and the sound was full of determination. Are you crazy? That thing is not a good thing at first glance. Can you come back if you go in? Ellie was so anxious that she wanted to slap me, but I had already stood up and walked towards the air gate of the flying boat. Don't worry, I won't be easily dispelled. You're waiting for me outside. If the pursuers from the Empire come again, run away first, don't worry about me. I dropped the sentence, put on my old spacesuit, pushed the gate open, and swept towards the group of light. Just as I approached the light group, an invisible suction force suddenly pulled me in. There was darkness in front of me, and the low voices were all over my ears. Humans, welcome to try my luck. At the same time, the Imperial pursuit of the faraway suddenly accelerated, and Lieutenant Colonel Ren sneered and ordered, all the ships are ready to enter the storm area. I want to see how that waste died. The darkness wrapped around me, as if I had fallen into a purity without any edge. In the core of the light group, I couldn't see anything clearly. Only the low sound on my ears shaved my brain like a knife. Human, the test begins, prove your value, otherwise I will stay in this film forever. I bit my teeth tightly, and my heart was filled with anger. What kind of trials or not? My life is almost gone. Are you still playing this trick with you? But now it's useless to regret it. The darkness around me is like a living thing, and it starts to press over me, making me breathless. The high power was in a mess in my body, as if it was about to break through my body, and it made me sweat heavily. Come on. I want to see how you can mess with me. I shouted hard, trying to wake up the violent force in my body. In an instant, a violent energy burst out from my chest, and a hole was torn out of the darkness around me, and I could see a strange light. I took this opportunity to suddenly rush over and a thought in my mind, no matter what you do, I have to go out alive today. At the same time, outside the storm area, the Empire's pursuit finally came in. Lieutenant Colonel Ren sat in the flagstead room, sneering on his face, staring at the energy fluctuations on Ryda's screen, muttering in his mouth, Lin Hao, you think you can live by hiding into this ghost place? Today I want to see what secrets do you have. Lieutenant Colonel, the energy interference in the storm area is too strong, and the team loss rate is rising. Should I retreat at a while? The adjutant's voice came from the communication device, bringing some anxiety. Retreat? Joke! Carlos's orders from the army cannot catch Lin Hao, who should not want to go back. The whole ship accelerates, locking the position of the broken ship, seeing people alive and gangsters alive. Ren shook his hand, his face as if it could drip water. On the other side, Ellie was alone in the flying boat, staring at Rada's screen, her palms covered in sweat. Lin Hao jumped into the light group and lost his silence. Now the Empire's pursuit is approaching again, and she is as anxious as a thorn on the hot pot. Lin Hao, don't hang around, otherwise how can I explain to myself? She gritted her teeth, muttered in a low voice, and then suddenly pulled the rod and the flying boat circled in a storm, trying to delay time. And I am currently fighting against that strange force in the core of the light group. There were countless twisted shadows suddenly appearing in the darkness, like a monster condensed by a group of black fogs, snatching at me. I subconsciously raised my hand and swung it, and the force of violence turned into a wind blade and slashed over, but the shadows seemed to be not afraid of attack at all. After they scattered, they quickly gathered and made a harsh growl. Damn, what a ghost thing! I couldn't help but whine, and the power inside my body exploded again. This time it directly rolled up a small storm, tearing those shadows apart. But after using this trick, my whole body seemed to have been drained, and my legs were soft and I almost knelt on the ground. The sound in the brain sounded again, with a few ridicule, "Humans, your power is still far away. Let's continue to slam it, see how long you can last. I have to be forced to do it even if I can't hold it. I don't believe it will fall into this." I gritted my teeth, stood up, swept around and tried to find the exit. At this moment, a dazzling light suddenly lit up in the depth of darkness, like a spiral center, emitting terrifying energy waves. When I felt aroused in my heart, I passed a thought in my brain: this place may be the source of high power. I dragged my body, which was about to fall apart, and got closer to the spinning step by step. With every step taken, the pressure around him was a little higher, and the black monsters were increasing, as if they were slapping over for fear of death. I retreated, and the force of violence exploded again and again, crushing them to pieces, but my mind became more and more blurred, and the visual line was full of ghosts. "Lin Hao, if you don't come back, I will really run away." Ellie's voice suddenly came from the spacesuit's communication device, with some anxiety. I was stunned, suddenly came back to my senses, and my heart felt warm. This girl has a hard mouth and didn't leave me alone when the key was fixed. "Don't worry, I'll go back immediately. Is the Empire's dog legs coming?" I gasped and rushed towards the spin. "Come on. They have entered the storm area. Less than 10 units away from me, the laser cannons are starting to preheat." Ellie's voice was so anxious that she almost broke the sound. Damn, these guys are so desperate. My heart sank, gritted my teeth and accelerated, and finally rushed to the spiral. As soon as I got closer, a terrifying suction pulled me directly into it. My eyes went dark and my whole body seemed to have been thrown into the washing machine, and my brain was spinning. When I opened my eyes again, I realized that I was standing on the skeleton of a huge flying boat, surrounded by floating fragments, like ruins after a fight. The swirling energy wave came from the depths of the flying boat's skeleton. I gritted my teeth and jumped down, drilling into the inside of the flying boat with a hole. It was pitch black inside, and only occasionally flashed electric sparks illuminated the broken corridor. I walked forward carefully, and the low voice suddenly echoed in my brain: "Humans, this is my place of trial. Conquer it, and you will gain real power." "Stop talking, how to conquer?" I replied without any hesitation, and the violent force in my hand was ready to explode at any time. "Find the core and fuse it, but remember, if you fail, you will be swallowed." The voice was gone after saying it. I felt aroused from my heart, and I didn't say anything clearly, and I clearly cheated me. But there's no other way now, so I can only walk forward with my head on my head. At the same time, the battles in the storm area have become white. The Empire's pursuit finally locked Ellie's broken ship, and Lieutenant Colonel Wren sneered and ordered, "Open the fire. Turn the broken ship into slag. I see where can Lin Hao hide in that waste room." Several laser cannon beams shot straight over. Ellie rushed to the direction plate, and the flying ship barely avoided for a while, but the stern of the ship was still rubbed, and a string of sparks emerged. She gritted her teeth and said, "Lin Hao, if you don't come back, I really want to be done with you." At this moment, a dramatic wave of energy suddenly appeared on radar's screen, as if some huge force was awakening. Lieutenant Colonel Wren's face changed and he muttered in a low voice, "What is this? What ghost thing?" And I finally found a huge energy core deep in the dead of the flying boat, like a group of jumping black flames, scattering a suffocating pressure. My heart pounded wildly, and the sound in my brain sounded again: "Fused it, or swallowed by it, choose. Choose your big guy. I'm not here to die." I gritted my teeth and raised my hand to try to use the force of violence to touch the core. In an instant, a terrifying energy penetrated into my body, as if to tear me the whole person to pieces. I yelled in pain, but at the same time I could feel my power was surging at a crazy speed. Room. The dead body of the flying ship suddenly began to collapse, and the surrounding storm seemed to be ignited. Terrifying energy waves burst out. I bit my teeth and carried this backlash. There was a thought in my brain: "The doggy leg of the Empire, I want you to know this time, what is real hope." At the same moment, the Imperial team in the storm suddenly felt an invisible pressure, and the energy fluctuations on the raid screen were almost out of the box. Lieutenant Colonel Ren's face finally changed, and there were a few terror in his voice. What kind of power is this? Retreat all the way back, hurry! But it was too late. A huge beam of light suddenly burst out in the center of the storm area, illuminating the entire star field as bright as white. I rushed out of the dead body of the flying boat, and the black and purple storm energy was circling around my body, as if I had transformed into the storm itself. I looked up and saw the Imperial fleet running away in panic, and a sneer appeared on the corner of my mouth. Lieutenant Colonel Ren, aren't you very scary? What are you running away now? Come on, I'll give you a ride. I growled and raised my hand to snatch the violent force in my body. It suddenly exploded, turning into a huge storm dragon, directly storming the Empire team. Wherever Dragon Roar went, the ship was torn apart like a piece of paper. The explosion of fire lit up in the starry sky, and even Ren's flag was unable to escape. It was directly swallowed by Dragon Roar and turned into a huge group of fireballs. Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel. The adjutant screamed in shock in the communication device, but the next second, even this sound was swallowed by the explosion. The entire Imperial fleet was completely destroyed in a few minutes, leaving only a floating skeleton, as if mocking their once arrogant. Ellie sat in the flying boat, watching this scene. Her mouth was so loud that she could stuff a fist, and after a long time she put it on. Lin Hao, are you too careless, right? I gasped and floated in the starry sky. The power in my body was like a flood, which made me almost unstable. I grinned and O'Reilly made a move. What's wrong, are you so bad? That's a big bullshit. You're almost dead, why are you wearing a big-tail wolf? Ellie shouted in a bad mood, rushed over to the flying boat, ready to pick me up. But at this moment, a deep sound of birds suddenly came from the starry sky far away, as if something was approaching. I looked up and my pupils shrank suddenly. A huge Silver River warship drifted out of the star clouds. The bloody horn mark on the body flashed with cold light, which was several 10 times larger than the just-chased ship, and its firepower configuration was so exaggerated that it made people's skin numb. A cold voice came from the communication device, carrying a high-ranking contempt. Lin Hao, waste miner, I didn't expect you to kill Ren's team, but I had some skills. I am the army of Carlos, and I will take your life by myself. Do you think that with such a small trick, you can challenge the might of the Empire? Naive. My heart sank, I clenched my fists, and the violent force in my body began to move again. But I know that this guy is not the small character of Ren. Carlos's army's warship just makes people feel suffocating in urgency. I gritted my teeth and muttered in a low voice, Carlos, right? Let me see how hard the head of the Imperial Ironkin is today. I floated in the starry sky, my body wrapped in black and purple storm energy, like a bad ghost who had just crawled out of the ground. Although the power in my body is so strong that it is igniting, every burst of it seems like it is killing me, and there is a pinch in my brain, which makes me grit my teeth in my pain. But I didn't have time to pant. The huge Silver River warship was approaching far away, and the bloody horn mark on the body was flashing with cold light, as if mocking me for such a small handbag. Lin Hao, waste miner, dare to pick the dignity of the Empire, today is your death. Carlos sent the voice of the army from the communication device, as cold as a knife shaved his ears, with an unquestionable sense of murder. I grinned and replied, Old Carlos dog, don't just speak ruthlessly. If you have the ability, come and choose. I want to see how hard the head of the Imperial Ironkin is. Single choice? Ha ha ha, ignorant little snail. Are you worth mentioning these 2 words to me? The firepower is ready to be used to make this waste into slag. Carlos's voice was filled with contempt. Then the turret on the warship began to accumulate energy, and countless red lasers locked me, like the death's knife would cut off my brain at any time. Lin Hao, hurry up. The firepower of that warplane can flatten the entire star field. Ellie's voice came from the communication device, so anxious that she almost broke the sound. Her broken ship hid far away and might be affected at any time. Hide? I won't hide today. I bit my teeth tightly, staring at the warship, and the storm in my body boiled like a volcano. Although the moves that killed Ren's team just made me almost lose half of my life, if I don't fight now, I guess I will have no life left. That being the case, then come a big one. I raised my hands suddenly, and the storm energy in the starry sky seemed to be summoned and gathered towards me in a blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, a huge black and purple vortex formed, as if it had opened a bloody mouth and directly rushed towards Carlos's warship. The thunder and electric vehicle in the vortex roared wildly, and the surrounding stones were sucked in and instantly crushed into powder. Carrying tricks. Turn on fire. Carlos snorted coldly, and the laser cannon on the warship fired. Hundreds of beams of light hit me like rain. I felt a tight heart in my heart, controlling Yuzue to withstand it, but the firepower was actually too strong. Yuzue was able to retreat continuously, and I was shocked to my chest and almost vomited blood. Damn, this ironkin is really hard. I gritted my teeth, whispered in a low voice, and my brain was crazy about the solution. The firepower of this war is more than 10 times stronger than that of Ren's team, and it is impossible to withstand this kind of violent force. I have to use my ultimate move, but with my current body condition, I guess I have to lie down if I use my ultimate move. Lin Hao, are you crazy? If you don't run away, we have to explain this. Ellie's voice came again, with a crying voice. I can't run away, ally, help me delay time. I gritted my teeth and replied, then closed my eyes, trying to sink my mind into the depths of the high power. In the brain, the low voice sounded up again, with a few mockery. Humans, have you come to beg me again? Want more power? The price is quite high. You are so lucky. If I don't kill this war today, I will have no life. What price should I ask about? Give me strength. I shouted back in my heart, and at the same time, regardless of whether it is in the vicinity, my mind will be completely integrated into the black vortex. In an instant, a stream of energy that was so cold that it was inside my bones penetrated into my body, as if to crush every bone of mine. I yelled in pain, but at the same time, I could feel my power surging at a terrifying speed. The storm vortex in the starry sky suddenly expanded more than 10 times, as if it had turned into a small black hole, directly swallowing up the laser beam emitted by the warship. As soon as the beams approached the vortex, they were twisted and torn apart, and even the waves did not rise. I opened my eyes quietly, my eyes filled with crazy eyes. I pushed my hands hard, and the black hole-like vortex rushed straight towards the warship. What? What a ghost thing! Carlos's voice finally changed, with a few surprises. The protective cover on the warship made a harsh squeaking sound under the pressure of the whirlpool, as if it was about to collapse at any time. The protective cap around the body was even more unlucky. It was directly sucked in by the whirlpool, and in the blink of an eye it turned into a pile of iron slag. Carlos, aren't you very awesome? Why don't you say anything now? I gasped, my mouth was hard and mocked, but my body had reached its limit, and both hands were shaking, and my vision was blurred. I know that if I can't kill him with this move, I guess I really have to explain it here. Insidey little horn, do you think you can win this way? Fight the core cannon, accumulate energy, and hit it with all your strength. Carlos roared with gritted teeth, and then a dazzling red light lit up in the center of the warfare, like a small sun being rolled up, and the energy fluctuations emitted made the entire star field tremble. Damn, this guy has hidden one more hand. My heart sank and I felt an unprecedented sense of pressure. The power of the core cannon just makes people's skin numb, and it is estimated that one shot can blow up half of the star field. I bit my teeth tightly, and forced the control of the vortex to try to tear the warship before the core gun was fired. But the energy storage speed of the core cannon was so fast that it was not waiting for my vortex to completely suppress it. A huge red light column was already shooting straight towards me, as if it could swallow all the dead light. I felt a moment in my heart, and I couldn't think too much about it, and subconsciously concentrated all the force of violence in front of me, forming a thick black and purple barrier. Room! The light column hit the barrier hard, bursting out with a deafening huge wave, and the entire starry sky was illuminated as white. The barrier shook violently under the impact of the light column, and the cracks spread rapidly. I felt the blood in my body was boiling, and my mind was almost blurred. "Lin Hao, stay up!" Ellie shouted in the communication device, but her voice seemed to be coming from a very remote place, and I could hardly hear it clearly. "Too fart. I'm almost out of here." I gritted my teeth, my brain full of unwillingness. "Is it hard to fall like this?" "No, it won't work. Those Empire dogs that forced me, those noble tribes who looked down on me, must let them know what revenge is called climbing back from the earth." At this moment, the low voice in the brain resounded again, bringing some confusion. "Humans, let it go, and give your will to the storm, and you will become the true god of destruction." "Thank you to you? Don't even think about it. Even if I die, I will kill this guy by myself." I roared angrily, forcibly expelled the inspiration of the sound, and gathered the last thought. The storm inside the body seemed to be ignited, exploding unprecedented energy. I pushed my hands hard, and the barrier instantly turned into a huge storm spear, thrusting straight into the red column of light. Wrong! The two forces collided head-on, and the explosion of impact shattered all the stones around them, and even Ellie's broken ship was blown away for several kilometers. I gritted my teeth and carried the backlash, and the long spear pierced the light column at once and rushed towards the core of the warship. Impossible! How could this waste have such power? Carlos's voice finally panicked, but he could no longer react. The long spear pierced the guardrail directly into the energy source of the core cannon, causing a terrifying explosion. Gee! The entire Silver River warship was like ignited smoke, turning into a huge group of fireballs, and the debris scattered in all directions, illuminating half of the star field. The explosion even affected me, shaking me a mouthful of blood. The whole person seemed like a windbreaker, and it took me a few seconds to calm down. "Lin Hao, are you still alive?" Ellie's voice came from the communication device, with a crying voice. I gasped and grinned hard, wasting. "I'm so desperate, how could it be so easy to hang up?" "You're still stubborn. Come back soon, we have to run away. The Empire's aid may arrive soon." Ellie shouted without any worries, and then drove the broken ship and leaned towards me. I finally felt relieved in my heart as I looked at the dead body of the warship. I finally killed this old dog Carlos. Those Empire dogs who once forced me and laughed at me, one day, I will step them under my feet. But before I could think about it, a violent sting suddenly came from my body, and the force of violence seemed to be out of control. It was in a mess inside my body, and I almost screamed. I know, this is a backlash. That just hit almost emptied all my strength. If I don't rest, I will really kill myself. "Ally, if you find a safe place, we have to hide first," I said, gritting my teeth, and then I reluctantly climbed into the flying boat. My mind was dark and I went over directly. When I woke up again, I found myself lying in the simplicity of the boat, filled with various old medical tubes. Ellie sat next to me, exhausted, and saw that I woke up, and couldn't help rolling her eyes. "Yeah, the hero is awake? Do you know that you have been sleeping for 3 days and almost scared me to death?" 3 days? I was stunned and sat up with my head. I felt sour and weak all over my body, but at least there was no big problem. Looking out through the porthole, the flying boat was parked in a deserted stone belt, and the surroundings were quiet, as if they had avoided the pursuit of the Empire. "Don't worry, we'll get rid of the pursuers and it's safe at a while. However, once that old dog Carlos dies, the Empire will definitely not be willing to let go. We have to find a place to fall, otherwise we will be caught back." Ellie muttered as she checked the data of the flying boat. I clicked the head, and I was just calculating the next step in my mind. Killing Carlos is just the beginning. There are so many rulers in the Empire like cockroaches. It is impossible for me to overthrow them in the end. But this violent force made me see hope. As long as I can fully control it, one day, I can make those noble tribes who are lofty and kneel down and call me a sound. "Ally, contact other rebels, we can't hide anymore. The Empire is not a piece of iron plate. As long as I am here, we can fight back." I clenched my fists, my eyes full of determination. Ellie glanced at me and then sighed for a long time. Okay, who'll let me get into such a crazy thing as you? But I'll say that, I'll do this life-threatening thing next time. Remember to say hello to me first. I grinned and didn't answer. A fire broke out in my heart. The road to resistance is still long, but from today on, I, Lin Hao, is no longer the waste miner who was bullied. I am the embodiment of storm and the nightmare of the Empire. A few months later, every starry sky in the edge of the star field was flowing through a story. A once-baked miner, a single gunman, killed Carlos's army and crushed the Empire's Silver River warship. His name is Lin Hao, and he led a group of unyielding rebels to set off a storm in the sea of stars that swept the entire Silver River. And I, standing on an old flag, looked at the team of rebels gathering around, and a sneer appeared on the corner of my mouth. The Empire's doglegs, wash your neck and wait, my revenge has just begun. The force of violence flowed in my body, like a whisper, urging me to continue moving forward. I know there will be countless challenges in the future, but as long as I am still alive for one day, no one can hold my pace. The stars are flying, and I am sure to be the master of this starry sky.